we have one of the jurors who has now been dismissed. She arrived at jury duty just yesterday, was dismissed today. Her name is Kara McGee. I want to turn to her right now. Kara, thank you for joining us. Everyone is so eager to understand what it was like to even be called for jury duty today. When did you realize that this was the Trump trial?
So definitely not when I first got the jury letter. That was kind of the standard open your mailbox, like, oh, I have to take off work in 2 weeks. So when I texted my mom and said, oh, I got jury duty, and she said, starting what day? And I said, April 15th, tax day. And she said, I think that's when the Trump trial starts. So I was wondering if I would be on that or on some other case at the same time, in the building, because I assume there's a lot more going on. And then yesterday when I got here and we were put into a jury holding room, and it seemed like there were 500-ish people waiting to get put into two separate holding rooms. I had the thought of, this is probably Trump, because I don't think they'd call quite this many jurors for anything else.
So what was everyone doing when they realized, like you at that point, that you were likely a part of the Trump jury trial pool of people? Were people talking amongst themselves? Was there kind of a buzz in the air?
You could feel that people were starting to realize it, but people weren't talking amongst themselves nearly as much as I expected. Weirdly enough, I think everyone had a sense of kind of uncertainty over what the protocols were in this situation, and so no one really felt like they should mention it. I'm sure there were some jurors who just didn't know that this was happening right now or didn't realize that this was what they were called for. You could definitely see people kind of looking around like, do other people also get the sense that this is, but not really talking about it.
When you walked in the courtroom and you saw him, is that when you first learned that for sure this was the Trump trial? And how did it feel to see him?
So in the initial jury holding room, one of the employees of the court had mentioned something about it being an unusual day, and I kind of wondered, does that mean we're definitely on this case, or just because this case is also in the building? So yeah, it was when we walked into the courtroom and saw him that it was that I was sure that it was definitely this case.
Did he make eye contact with you?
Yes. Yeah.
What was that like?
Odd. It's someone who you've seen as this larger than life public figure for a decade or so at this point, and for people who have followed his business career, I'm sure longer than that. I didn't, but and then you get in there, and it's fascinating because you get these two very contrasting kind of senses at the same time, which is, on the one hand, it's this very massive sense of gravitas and importance, because you know that this is history in the making, and whatever the outcome of this is, everything going forward will be affected by it. And at the same time, you walk into the courtroom and you see Trump sitting there. I had never seen him in person before. You see him sitting there, and it's like, oh, it's just a guy. He's just a dude.
Why were you dismissed?
I was dismissed because, so in the jury questionnaire that you answer the questions to out loud, sorry, this is slowing up. There's one question at the end that says, is there anything else that might affect your ability to serve that you haven't mentioned other than all of the questions that they ask? And I said the nature of my job would make it very difficult for me to be here from 9 to 5 for at least 6 weeks and probably longer. It's not really something that I can entirely do, by myself in the hours from 5 to whenever after being.
Was that the reason you thought that they dismissed you? Was it clear to you why?
So. I believe so. It was right after that question that the
judge
said.
Did they tell you why they dismissed you at all?
No, but other jurors that were dismissed due to an answer to a specific question, it was always right after that question where the judge asked the two legal teams if there were objections to dismissing the juror. So I assume it was not prior questions, but I can't be sure of that.